Hi, in this video, I want to talk about the inevitable cycle of love bombing, devaluing, and discard. I tend to add something into that cycle. It's usually, for me, at least from what I've noticed internally, what happens is that it's love bombing, then a little bit of boredom, devaluing, and then discard. There's always like this existential boredom that happens a little bit before that, like, that has me start to devalue and then discard eventually. It is an inevitable cycle for people who have narcissistic personality disorder and who are untreated, unaware, and don't have any agency inside of it. I want to talk about it, and I want to talk about why it happens. So I mentioned in my previous video about the lack of self, or the lack of identity, and why that's so maddening and frightening and terrifying and dreadful for people who have narcissistic personality disorder. So that ties in and dovetails with the cycle that I'm talking about right now, which is again, love bombing, boredom, devalue, and then discard. What happens is that because I'm dealing with you primarily from my persona, self, my mask. I'm inside of this narcissistic false self. I am manipulating by definition, because it's not who I really am. It is a manipulation. It is a lie. I am manipulating, seducing, trying to get something. And it could be as innocent as I'm trying to get love. I'm trying to get, although narcissists don't really understand what love is, but their version, my version of love, I'm trying to get. Trying to get my version of love, someone to take care of me, some sense of specialness or importance, whatever it is. Because I am interacting with you from my persona self, not a real self, not a real identity. It is an automatic setup for this cycle to happen. So I start to love bomb you. That's part of it. I start to love bomb you and seduce you. And in my unaware, untreated narcissistic mind, the reason why that is such a powerful thing that narcissists do is because in that moment, they believe it. Oh my God, you are the person who's going to save me from my own existential dilemma that I'm in. You're going to save me. Finally, I have found the person who could do that, who could save me from my own dilemma, from my own insane, tortured, unaware, like unconscious dread that I'm inside of. But it's a lose-lose proposition, because I am dealing with you from a false self. And if you fall for it, when you fall for it, what's the setup is that on a certain level, I have to hate you. Because I can't ever actually break out of the prison that I'm in. And I know on a certain level that I've duped you, that I've lied to you, and you believe the lie. Even though I don't know fully that I'm lying, I know on some level I am. On some level. I just don't know exactly what I'm lying about. But what ends up happening is that I love you, I think you're amazing, and then on some level I start to see that you're a person and a human being. You fall from the pedestal, because of course you did. You're not a saint. You're not someone who is infallible or without, like faults or challenges. You're a person. I'm a person. We're all people. But on some level, at some point, there's a chink in the perfect idea. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. And when that happens, because I don't have those things developed like whole object relations and object constancy, I never got that developed. Because that never got developed, the fantasy, the illusion, the hope, the idea that you would save me from my own tortured psyche starts to die. Even if you were to love me, even if you were, let's say you didn't die, let's say that didn't die yet, there's a boredom that starts to happen because I got you. I got you. The moment I get you is the moment the relationship dies, starts to die. I got you. And the pursuit of being fixed, of being saved, of being out of this unconscious dilemma I'm in is now like the hope of that is now gone. And the boredom starts to develop. Like at some point I'm just like, and where that the boredom is really is that I get an inkling that it's not going to happen. I get an inkling that that chasm between my own false self and the black hole that's in me, the chasm between there still exists. And I'll start to get a sense of my own existential dread. And it starts to show up as this boredom of just like, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. And I'll start to think it's you. And then I'll start to see fault in everything that you do. Because I never really developed a way to actually deal with these really deeply uncomfortable feelings. I never got those neuronal pathways developed. And it feels like I'm dying on a certain level. And so I'll start to see you as a problem, and then I'll start to devalue because I'm in black and white. And so I'll start to think, oh, like contempt and disdain, the shadow part of that false persona starts to rear its head. You duped. You were dupable. It's you. I have to look for someone else. And I'll start to devalue you. And then you will behave in a way that's understandable. Well, you'll start to be upset with me or start to call me out or start to see that I'm actually like not all that great. It's not just that I see you as not great. You'll start to see me as not great. You'll start to call me out. And because as a narcissist, I can't take criticism. I won't be able to take criticism. That means that I have to like be called out, and the part of me that is like a real self that never got developed is starting to get like all of that starts to come up. No, I have to then attack you and kill you and project on you're the problem. Now you have to die. This relationship was never the thing I thought it was. I told you all of my dread and despair and hopelessness and faithlessness and terror and fear has been realized. And I am just like deeply, deeply affected and upset and in a free fall because the feed I was getting, the energy I was getting, the love, the potential of being saved is now dead. And I am in a free fall until my next person that I could put up on a pedestal. It is an inevitable process. It's inevitable. And understand that a person with narcissistic personality disorder genuinely believes each of the stages, genuinely believes it. And the reason why they genuinely believe it is because the persona that's there, there's the forward face and then there's the back end of the mask. There's the forward mask and then there's the back mask. They're constantly talking to each other. They're constantly. And it's just being informed by like the golem that's inside of us. It's inevitable. That pattern, that cycle is a cycle of doom and hopelessness. It's like fool's gold. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the inevitability of that cycle. If you are inside of a breakup with someone where you don't understand why you were discarded and left, understand that it was inevitable. There was nothing you could do. I hope that helps.